The last time I was in San Francisco, I got into a Waymo, one of these self-driving cars with the weird thing on the roof. And I tell you, it was a pretty bizarre experience for me because literally there's no driver. It was just a screen, me, and this unsettling robot voice announcing, "Welcome to the future." And so faced with this magnificent future, I did what most of us do when we get into the back seat of a car. I doom scrolled. That's right. I checked to see how many people did or did not like my LinkedIn posts, and I looked at all the crazy headlines of today until somewhere mid-scroll, an obvious metaphor smacked me across the face. Here, the future was literally driving itself, but I wasn't even steering my own mind. And so the question isn't who's driving this car. The real question is who's driving us. And I've been thinking about this question in some way, shape, or form for the past 30 years, often from deep inside the machine. My name is Dr. Eric Solomon, and I actually started my career studying how the brain processes language so we could teach machines to understand us. Later, I did work at places like YouTube, Spotify, Instagram. I wanted to shape the future of technology. But across it all, one question kept on getting louder than all the rest until I simply couldn't ignore it anymore. And that question's this: robots are here. Are we? And that's what I want to talk about today. Because, well, it's true. The robots are here. They are building faster, learning quicker, making $1 billion decisions right this very second. And what about us? Are we showing up, or have we stuck ourselves on autopilot? Now, here's the good news, and I promise this is not doom and gloom. There is some good news, and it's this. The future does not have to be won by machines. No, I think it can and will be won by those who get better at being human. That's something that we can all do. I believe that with every fiber of my being. And we're going to talk about how to do that in just a minute. Of course, on the surface, I understand it just sounds so simple. Just be more human, Eric. How hard could that be? But we have to acknowledge that the time we're living in is completely different. We are facing a storm of crises, multiple crises colliding into each other, each amplifying to make the others worse. Whether we're talking about the economy, the climate, global instability, or, at the center of it all, technology eating our lunch. Did you know that in the last year alone, over half of all global capital funding went straight to AI companies? That's right, straight to AI companies, not clean energy, not education, not the arts. We're talking about AI for business. This is a clear case where the money has spoken and the bets have been placed. I know, I've seen the term sheets. Yet, in the face of all of this, we're told, and we probably all hear this every day, that trust the machines, right? Faster AI is here, faster automation, more optimization, more. But here's the thing that no one wants to say out loud, is that often more technology isn't making us more human. In fact, it's often weighing us down, making us potentially worse humans. I also want to point out that none of this happened overnight. The machines didn't just arrive yesterday. But we do talk about AI like it just got here, like ChatGPT dropped from the sky and, hey, look, the future is here. The reality is that AI has been shaping our lives for decades. In fact, we built the first neural networks to mimic the brain in the 1950s. The term artificial intelligence was coined in 1955. By the 1960s, AI was translating languages during the Cold War, being used in the early days of machine translation. And of course, by the 90s, AI was beating world chess champions at their own game. So being used to solve what's really called narrow problems. But then things really started to shift. And now it's personal. It got real personal. Because AI has stopped just helping, and it's actually started making choices for us. Without asking, not even once, our feeds nudge us towards the next video, the next song, the next headline, the next purchase. I know I help shape these platforms. Now I am often nostalgic for a simpler time, a time when AI was just a tool that used to wait for us. I mean, I remember searching not on Google, but on Ask Jeeves for upcoming concerts in Portland, Oregon. It was the 90s, okay? Things really look like this, I'm telling you. So I would go ahead and just put in my search term, right? You know, what's going on in Portland this weekend. And I got what we'd all expect to get, just this list of clunky blue links where we choose what we want, and if it's not what we want, we try it again. The point is that I was steering. The machine just suggested and waited. But then AI stopped waiting and it started predicting. It stopped following our choices and actually started shaping them. I'll be honest, I had to delete Instagram from my phone. After working there, of course. Why? Because I'd go to catch up, see what I was missing, catch a wave of FOMO, and then before I knew it, it was just wham! Another beautiful ad for a jacket I do not need. But it knew. It had my number, the color, the cut, the timing. It knew exactly what I wanted by predicting what I wanted before I knew I wanted it. So of course I clicked buy me over and over. And this actually relates to my research. I spent years studying how our brain predicts what words we are thinking about before we even finish a sentence. Because honestly, this is how we communicate. And now this is very much how AI learns. The same shortcuts that help us connect are the same ones AI now uses to complete our decisions. It doesn't just respond. AI anticipates and ultimately decides what we consume, who we trust, even what we believe, before we even notice. And yeah, if you're wondering, I do lose sleep over this. Because every time we let an algorithm choose what we watch or what we read or who we follow, we aren't just using AI. We are being used. I'll just ask, and be honest, think about this. When is the last time you chose something simply out of curiosity, not because it was trending or suggested or autoplayed? And if you're like me and that answer doesn't come immediately, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad, because that kind of choice, it is rare now, right? The system is designed to keep us scrolling and clicking, not thinking. And I can tell you, unless we change this pattern, companies never will. We're drifting, but we don't have to. I refuse to accept that. At the same time, it is so easy to feel like the world is moving faster than any of us can humanly comprehend right now. Technology is accelerating. News cycles, they are relentless. Everything is shifting all at once. And when that happens, it's so tempting to check out, to let the systems decide, because honestly, that's way easier than this mayhem. But I think we've been looking at this all wrong. We are not powerless. Not even close. In fact, in many cases, I don't even think AI is choosing for us so much as we are handing it over. In fact, we might be doing more than handing it over. We're practically gift wrapping it. However, here's the thing. If we can give it away, we can absolutely take it back. Because it's true. The future does not belong to the fastest machines. It belongs to those who get better at being human. So now, what can we actually do? Well, I'm reminded often and fondly of the incredible poet Mary Oliver, who offers her instructions for how to live a life. She says, pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. You may have noticed I'm no poet. So I take this to mean we have to double down on what we do better than AI does. And for me, that boils down to just three simple things. We have to see, we have to choose, and we have to act. We don't have to take the back seat in our lives, and that starts with the first thing, which is seeing. But we also have to acknowledge that seeing clearly is really hard right now. We're losing our ability to tell what is signal and what is noise. And no wonder. Machines now generate staggering amounts of data. By the end of 2025, they will produce over 180 zettabytes of data. Now, to give you a sense of how insane that is, if every byte were a grain of sand, we would bury the entire planet, every ocean, every mountain buried in data sand. We're not starved for information, we're drowning in it. And I think this is a real problem because AI doesn't understand all of this data, just processes without context, without care, without any real stake in our outcome. But we do. Only humans create meaning, and that starts with seeing what's actually right in front of us. Now, if I can be embarrassingly vulnerable in front of you for a minute, I'll be honest and say, there are some days where I can't even go 2 minutes brushing my teeth without grabbing for my phone. I'm literally scrolling while brushing, and then halfway through I forget I'm even brushing. I'm nowhere, right? And then there are other moments where I say, what if that's 2 minutes of brushing were the signal and everything else was just noise? Come on, we've all been here or somewhere like here. Seeing is just noticing again. It's putting both feet in our life. So see clearly. Now choosing is even harder than seeing because AI, we're at a point, right, where AI can optimize pretty much everything except our values. It can't tell you what matters, who you're becoming, who you've been, who you are, where you're going. And I honestly learned that the hard way. I had this dream career in big tech, but then something really shifted, and the posted or perceived values of those organizations no longer matched the person I was becoming. And so I had to ask, what actually matters to me? And am I living in accordance to what matters to me? And that's when I realized something that's tough to realize, and it's that choosing wisely doesn't always feel good. In fact, sometimes it feels a lot like doubt, like leaving something that others admire because it's no longer right for you. But that is exactly the line that AI can never cross. AI can optimize our preferences, but only you can live your priorities. Now we're in a place that is ultimately creepier than I want it to be, because my AI knows that I love my fancy sneakers and my fringe electronic music. It's pretty creepy, but it has no idea who I want to become now, not a clue. So choosing means hitting the brakes, looking up and asking, what do I actually believe? Do my choices match those beliefs? Am I driving my own life, or am I following the next prompt? Because while so much is out of our control, choice isn't. Even if we can't control the outcome, we always have a choice. So choose. Choose wisely. Now we get to move to action, because this is an exciting place where you've seen through the noise and you've made choices that reflect what you value. But seeing and choosing on their own, they're never enough. You have the opportunity, maybe the obligation, to do something. When I realized that my values are shifted, I didn't just sit with this knowledge. I actually felt enlightened as this AI image of myself. So I did something that wasn't so easy. I got up and walked away from a dream career, not because it was easy, but because it was true. And now the truth is, we're all facing a different truth in the world, and that's that change is going to keep coming for us, with or without us. And the only real question we have to ask is, are we shaping it or just reacting to it? And I worry about this because I see a lot of people drifting, letting the feed decide, sitting in the back seat. But the future isn't for spectators, it's for drivers, to stop waiting, to show up, to walk away when we need to walk away, and critically, to build a future based on our human values, not this rigid machine logic. Because the future isn't inherited, it's something we build, and that starts now. So act boldly. Now, I do think back to that Waymo ride often. A car driving itself, a screen pulling at my attention and me watching how many likes I got or didn't get, instead of the world around me, like a passenger in my life. But was I really powerless? No way. No way. At any moment, I could have put down my phone to see the world around me, the beauty of San Francisco's painted ladies, the relentless fog rolling over the Golden Gate Bridge, the fact that I was in a car driving itself, to choose what actually mattered to me in that moment. And by telling you this story right now, this is a very small but important act. And that's exactly where we all are right now, today. We don't have to be the passengers, we get to be the drivers. So I want to leave you with a challenge for all of us, myself included. I struggle with this every single day. For the next 24 hours, starting right now, let's make every choice with agency. What we watch, let's question it. What we read, let's ask why it's in our feeds. Who we follow, can we just pause for a minute before tapping and swiping? All we have to do is to see, to choose, and to act. Because the future doesn't belong to machines. It belongs to those brave enough to take the wheel. Yeah, it is true. The robots are here. But guess what? So are we. And we're ready to drive. Thank you.